everybody. Welcome back to compARTE Happy Hour. I'm Lizette Cruz Watko, founder of Diamante Arts and Cultural Center. Today, we are joined by a wonderful Latina artist. She is multi-talented, to tell you that much. It's gonna be great. Her name is Yholima Vargas. Welcome, Yholima.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So tell me, Yholima, for all those that don't know you, who is Yholima Vargas? And what the heck are you doing in North Carolina?
Very good question. Yholima Vargas is a very proud costeña from Colombia. My mom is from La Guajira and my dad is from Bogota, but I grew up in a beautiful city called Santa Marta. So I ended up here after living for so many years in Canada. I ended up moving to the US with my family. And since then, I made it my home. Yholima, again, is many things, but more than anything, a beautiful, happy, proud Latino woman.
So Yholima, your name is not very common. What's the story behind your name?
Very good question. My dad always wanted his daughter to have something different about her name. So there was a very popular Colombian singer called Yholima in Colombia. And so he liked her, he followed her, and he figured that's the name for my daughter. But then on top of that, he decided to add an H between Y and O so it would be more different. I have never met somebody with that name, honestly. And so that's why my name is Yholima with an H in the middle.
I have two children who have very unique names, so I understand how that can be.
Exactly.
So, Yolima, what type of artist are you? Because I know you're multifaceted. So, what do you consider yourself? What kind of artist do you consider yourself?
I am by far a performing artist. However, I think any artist will always find a fluid, a way to move from one medium to another. But I have to say, that in order for me to be the artist that I am, a performing artist first, I first have to be a social worker. And my experience as a social worker has really allowed me to find that purpose when it comes to performing. And for my performing artist, I moved towards a visual artist. I cannot be one without the other. They really complement each other. They one feeds from the other. One allows me to grow even farther and deeper in many levels. So I'm still exploring many mediums. I wish I could do so many things. I promise, I swear to you, but life is not enough. I have to say, but I'm a social worker who happens to enjoy art. My mom, since a very young age, always talked to me about performing, about enjoying the culture, the folk behind our past. She was always encouraging me to participate in popular events, folk events, traditional dances. So since the age of 5, I have been dancing. Been an amazing companion. I have lived in 3 countries, and dance has become a silent friend, but yet a very loud one when you need to have somebody telling you that you should love who you are and you should enjoy everything that represents you.
But what type of dancing do you do?
Well, while I was in Colombia, I did a lot of traditional Colombian dances. And once I moved to Canada, I continued exploring areas in Latin America. So I did some dances from Central America as well as Mexico. I like contemporary dance as well, but my heart has always been with the message of traditional dancing. But with that, I started also adding some theater to it. So in some of my dances, I'm able to incorporate dance as well as theater, showing more about our history. And that has been something that I enjoy doing with both kids and adults.
And you do it to this day?
Yes, I do. I try my best to incorporate any medium possible to allow, especially when you work with kids, it's an amazing tool to allow them to come out, to question who they are. But then when they find themselves, they truly enjoy that.
So, do you have a formalized group? And what is the name of that group if you do?
Of course, it's called WEPA Culture and Arts Institute.
Where can people go to that?
Well, before I was teaching in Durham, but I moved my classes in Burlington, North Carolina.
Okay.
However, I'm still able to teach. I do workshops after school, summer programs, and a lot of the schools, both in Wake, Orange, and Durham counties, call me, and now in Alamance County, and they are always inviting me to be part of their summer camps, workshops, residencies, and that has been very cool because it allows me to again find different ways to send us a message. And so the academy itself teaches on Saturdays. Now I'm teaching in Burlington at the Dream Center in Burlington, North Carolina. So I'm partnering up with other agencies as well. But I also teach in conjunction with, for instance, either Alamance County Art Council, and so I have done some workshops with them as well. So I'm going through new places,
Yeah.
but I continue working with folks that I have been working with in the past.
We were just at the Dream Center in Burlington passing out masks. Not that quite a like maybe a month or two ago when we were really heavy at Diamante giving out masks, which we gave out like 13,000 masks in like 3 months.
Thank you for doing that. And by the way, last night I went to the Dream Center and I talked to Lauren, and she told me about you guys. She said, "Yeah, they came to visit us." So see, I knew that already. So thank you for doing that. Again, what you do, everything that you do, anything that you do in the community, whether it's mask today or a message, a workshop, a training, communications, and spaces like this one that we're just being part of are just as important and crucial of maintaining that communication with the community. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Well, we'll show some of your work as we go along. But so what drove you to visual arts?
My mom was always not only about promoting culture through us and trying to allow us to understand the beauty of it, but she also was a dancer, and she's actually a painter. And so I grew up seeing her paint for a living. It wasn't a luxury, it wasn't something that she did for a hobby. She did it to put food on the table for us. So it had that additional meaning to it. So with that said, I always remember seeing her painting flowers and leaves. And if you are able to see some of my paintings have a lot to do with organic forms. Nature is a very important thing for all of us, and it should be. And we tend to forget that very easily. So through seeing my mom, I always had the intention to do something about art, but I was always afraid to try. Once I moved to Canada at the age of 19, I was trying to find out what is it that I want to do. And I realized, to be honest with you, that being an artist becomes a luxury. And for you to go to art and go to school doing art is a huge risk. As a new immigrant in such a new country, I couldn't afford to just go to art school and hope for the best. But another passion that I had was social work. So I ended up working as a social worker, becoming a social worker from college, and eventually always volunteer. And I still do that today. I'm very engaged with my community wherever I go and wherever I live. I make it my home, and I try to understand the anatomy of that community. So art has always been that extra arm that I have. It's kind of interesting because through performing, it was a very, very personal process, understanding me, liking me, accepting me. And let's be honest, there are around 55,000 Colombians in North Carolina, not many from Santa Marta, not many that might sound or look like me. So even within the minorities, I always find myself very lonely.
Mm.
So dancing was always a way for me to find people not speaking any language, but the universal language of music, and telling them, here I am, this is who I am, and having that welcoming. So I was able, and have done for so many years, I have opened dance academies in Canada, the US. I have had two academies here already. And so I eventually always wanted to do painting, visual. It's amazing. It's just amazing. But I was always afraid to try. Dance, I grew up with it. I was comfortable with it. But that was about something brand new. But at one point,
Yeah, go ahead.
let me be honest with you. Dance wasn't enough because
Mm.
of the job that I do, which is social work, working with the community, understanding the things that don't work, understanding what is broken, understanding what is not working. It's always an important process to find light in another way. And so in order for me to provide my light and be able to participate and be able to have an important and significant role in my community, I need to recharge my batteries. And so at one point, dancing was no longer giving me that. Teaching was fun, seeing kids understanding and wanting to be better, but also loving themselves. That was by far my biggest trophy. But
Mhm.
for me as a person, wasn't giving me anymore, and I needed more.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure that social work is very draining on a person's psyche, emotional state of being, physically probably as well.
yes, I
So
have to say.
that's hmm. So that so does art painting itself make it help you relax or take out, get rid of some of those frustrations or some of the the mental drainage that comes along with that job?
Basically, any art that you do, any form of hobby that you do, or hobby that you have, will create that for you. Painting, it then became a new branch for me, and so it became very personal. The first time I was asked to do an exhibit, I was very reluctant to accept. I was very afraid to be judged by my paintings because that was another personal portion of me coming out. And as an artist, it took me a while to even accept what I was doing, because a lot of the things that you do when it comes to art comes out of within yourself before you even think about it. So I always get the question, what were you thinking when you did it? Why did you make the decision to make that? And many times I said, you know what, that's what I wanted to, that's what my body, my mind, my spirit was asking me to do. And eventually I found the meaning behind it. But just like the viewer, I had to look at the painting after it was finished to
Mhm.
have an idea of what did I mean? And so it's a very beautiful process. Painting was allowing me to find that again. Dancing, I will never stop dancing, I promise you. But
Mhm.
yet painting was more personal. When I'm performing with a group of people and we together make beautiful things.
Mhm.
But our art, and especially visual arts, is very private, is very personal. But yet the message has been well received.
Yeah.
My art tends to be more organic as well, just like my dances. But I think it has a lot to do with my background. Growing up by the ocean, 5 minutes away from my house is the Atlantic Ocean, eating mango all day. um,
I remember when I was growing up in the Dominican Republic, we lived la calle marginal to the Caribbean Sea, and it was lined by almond trees, and we would cross over with just rock,
rock.
just crack it open, and you get so stained because the meat of the almond, it's like it stains you. I totally relate to the whole mango, because it's almost that same experience. It's just like you're a kid, you just like who
Yeah,
cares about
yeah,
what you look like or whatever, you're enjoying life.
exactly. And
Yeah.
whether it's a mango, plantain, a papaya, a guacamole, it doesn't, avocado, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter what it is. But if it's yours, if it represents something for you, show it, celebrate it. And that's what, again, art allows us to do.
I have noticed that a lot of your art pieces have women or female forms.
Yeah.
Is there a particular reason why that? What attracts you to that? What is it about the female form, or it more than not the form itself, but the face, female face, that I see in a lot of your pieces? What is it about that?
I think it's an invitation for womanhood. It's an invitation to celebrate who we are, the diversity that we bring to the table. But it's also a call for loving ourselves, empowering ourselves. Women are beautiful. It's just amazing. Don't get me wrong, I love men. Let me clarify that. But I have two boys that I'm raising. So I have such a huge obligation to make sure that they are good men, good providers, good head of the household, but also men who believe and accept strong women around them. Men that understand that even if they have to follow, as long as they follow a good leader, whether it's a woman or a man, that's okay. So we have such a beautiful way of becoming moms and wives and sisters and girlfriends and friends. And sometimes we tend to forget because it's almost given. It's almost, we take it for granted. So
Hmm.
it's a celebration of our beauty in and out. It is a reminder of our power within and beyond. And it is I would say I'm honoring, but also women remind me of human nature as well as nature itself. So Mother Nature is very important to me because growing up in a place where I couldn't go or couldn't afford vacations every year, we couldn't afford a car, but my mom would allow me to go up in the mountains for hours. So I would just go hiking because that's all we could afford. So my mom would pack me an arepa, something to drink, and off you go. And I would go and would spend hours up in the mountains near the Atlantic Ocean with my brother at the age of 7, 10, 11, just trying to understand the world around me and how beautiful it was. So I relate women with nature all the time. And it's not consciousness, it's more of emotions. That's the call that I seem to responding to.
You use very bright colors, and I feel that yellow is a dominant color for you. I don't know, maybe I'm imagining things, but a lot of your paintings have a lot of yellow in them.
That's a very good question. I don't wear yellow. I probably have one top yellow. That's it.
Interesting.
I promise you. That's so funny. Yo, Yellow to me, every color. I don't mix colors. I tend not to mix them because I believe that in uniqueness they are so by themselves. They have to be respected. Now it's beautiful to mix them and come out with another color. Blue and red gives you purple, right? Yellow and red gives you orange. But I want the orange. I don't need to mix it. I want the orange. And even orange, there are so many shades of it. So I'm trying to stay true to the color itself. And I have asked that question to myself. What is it that I don't want to mix colors? Why do I want the blue to look blue? But I also want to see that there are 20,000 types of blue. So
Mhm.
again, uniqueness in blue. But orange is a warm color. It brings light to anything you bring it to, or you adapt it or apply it to.
Mhm.
Um, it represents the sun. I'm the daughter of the sun. The
Mhm.
sun gives you life, hope. Although hope, I would go for green. Sun is the sense of recharging my battery. Is the first thing that I saw when I woke up when I was a child. It was right on my skin and I felt it. Nobody could deny the presence. So I think yellow represents life in itself. But every color that I use does it too. But good observation.
Yeah, and they're all prime colors, like you're saying. You always everything, there is no gradient. It's very distinct, and all the colors that, how you use them and all. So in the art field, what is coming up for you? Do you have any exhibits? I know that with COVID is super hard to exhibit,
Yeah.
but I'm hoping that maybe you have one coming up that you want to tell us about.
Of course. I am just in conversations with Duke, and we might be having an actual exhibit for the spring 2021. I'm very excited about it, but we're in the beginnings of organizing everything. I just presented my materials to them, so I will be hearing back sometime at the beginning of next year. I'm excited about it. The same way I am with an exhibit, it's always an opportunity to reconnect, to have questions and answers for them, to see people and see how without talking we're able to communicate, and how your heart really gets warm when you see something that speaks back to you. And often folks will come to me in exhibits and ask me questions about how they feel about a particular piece. So it's not about what I do or what I'm able to create, it's about what nature gives you and how you use it for others.
Are you working virtually nowadays, like everybody else? Are you teaching virtually?
I decided to actually stop all my classes from the moment we started dealing with COVID-19 for obvious reasons. So I'm in the process of beginning the classes again. My students have been calling and trying to figure out, hey, can we try again? But safety first. At the end of the day, safety is what matters the most. So I might be beginning the classes in December. So I'm trying to figure out with the Dream Center how we can get it working so everybody's safe, but yeah, everybody's having fun. And
The
because my
parking
class,
lot.
and there you go, exactly. So I'm trying to figure out what ways we can do it where we don't take away the essence of dancing, giving anybody the opportunity to learn how to dance anything they want to. So I also incorporate salsa, bachata, and merengue in my classes. And I also try to do things that the kids want to do. So it's also fun. It's just not the teacher is teaching me something new. No, what do you want to do? Let's be silly today. So I become a big kid with my students. But besides that, the cherry on top is to have performances. So we just had a performance at the Elon University in October, beginning of October for the Hispanic Heritage Month, which is a busy month for probably all the artists in the area celebrating the Hispanic Heritage Month. So we performed there a few weeks ago. And the cherry on top for me symbolizes this is what you learn. Now show the world what you want to talk about. Show the world what this dance represents to you. And so to me, that's the best thing at the end is to be able to have our kids perform, the adults too. And again, anybody's welcome to the classes. They don't have to be Hispanic, Latinos at all. Anybody who feels my music is talking to me, I just want to know other cultures.
And being a social worker right now with COVID, how is this influencing the art that you're creating lately? Or have you been creating? Have you been too busy with COVID to even create?
I started creating one for self-love. Everybody is having such a hard time figuring out not only what the future is going to look like, but
Sure,
where am I now as a person?
sure.
What's going on with me? So all of us are dealing with that personal struggle, trying to find ways to balance that out. Dancing, of course, has been taken away for a few months. So painting has been something that I started doing. But sometimes, you know what? I just sit down and let my mind go, and I just start painting without any ideas behind it. I just go, and that releases stress, allows me to just forget for a second about how my day looked like, allows me to recharge batteries and remind myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. Anyway, dancing and painting does help in that way. I go sometimes to my garage and I dance there by myself. That helps.
Why not? Why not? Such is the times. Yolima, you work a lot with youth. Is there one particular message that you want youth to know that you feel is important for them to something that que tú quieres inculcar? I don't even know how to say that in English. How do you even say that in English? It's like,
You want to pass on.
yeah, I want to pass on a message you want to pass on to youth.
The message is very complex and yet simple. Many of the kids that I hope are listening to us today or happen to be looking at this page for some reason, one or another. I'm just happy that you're here with us today. If you happen to be a child of immigrants, if you happen to be a first generation, if you happen to be an immigrant yourself, just like us, or in this case, myself, it is so important to understand who you are first. Um, at least for me, it was extremely important to know who I was, who Yholima was, before I could even try to understand the world around me. Any immigrant that comes to any country, in this particular case, the US, would normally think that other people got it better. They were born in a place where more options were available. And we may agree with that. And yet, every generation has its own challenges, whether some generations might not understand that as well, but it is. So whether you do art, whether it is anything in particular that you try to do, you cannot know what it is until you know yourself. And I know all of us go through that process. I think there is a lot of noise in the world. We tend to listen to so many things going on that at one point in our lives, we need to stop listening. And we need to be able to understand that calm and that quietness is part of finding yourself. You have to find, you have to be okay with being alone and asking those questions that are maybe very scary to ask. And yet, those are the ones who will start giving you a light for your path. Although I don't know where your path looks like or where it's going to take you, I do know that you are capable, but only when you know what you want, only when your heart tells you. And it's much easier said than done. Every adult will tell you, oh, please, just follow your heart.
Right,
You will be fine. It's not that simple.
right.
I'm still looking for it. Um, and that's the beauty of it. In the process of finding myself, in the process of saying, you know what, it is okay to be who I am. When I was in Canada, my first years, I looked around. Nobody looked like me. And as a 19, 20, 21-year-old girl, I was frightened. I
Right.
said, do I have to
That leaves an impression. Yeah.
Oh my. I said, do I have to change the color of my hair? Do I have to get skinny? Do I have to make something bigger and something else smaller? It was so, and I remember asking that question as I'm walking in a very lonely place.
Mm,
The world was full of people and amazing opportunities, but I was stuck in what do I do? What do I want? Who am I?
mm.
And so the message is complex and it's not about giving you an answer. It's about inviting you to, to lock out the noise. It's inviting you to ask the right questions, although they might be frightening. It is about asking, guess what? In order for me to move forward, I need to go backwards first. I need to know where I'm coming from. I need to know why I look the way I look. I need to know why I sound the way I sound. And I need to be okay with that. Parents were more strict, so I knew what was coming to me if I did certain things, right? So
Sure.
that also played a huge role. But
What we el cocotazo, do you guys use that?
la
Oh, la
chancla.
chancla, la chancleta, la chancla. Yes.
In my mom's case, anything she found, anything that she found would work. It was about her finding the discipline, finding and providing what she didn't have. And I know my mom is the same mom for many of us. So I could have really made certain choices when I was in Canada. She was no longer there. I was in a brand new country with so many opportunities and the full freedom that I probably didn't have earlier. And yet, her values, her advice, her encouragement was always there. Her sense of you need to love yourself, self dignity, self respect, but also who are you? And then it took me a long time to be okay with who I was. It took me a long time to say, not only I'm okay with who I am, but I need to believe in what I'm capable. And anywhere I go, I always have my mochila, my Colombian mochila. And regardless of how fancy I'm looking that day or how not so fancy I'm looking that day, I'm wearing my mochila. And that's a typical bag from the Wagyu tribe in La Guajira. It represents my mom in many ways and my mom's side of the family. So somebody one day asked me, why do you always have to wear that thing? It doesn't go with the clothes. And I said, well, it does. In my heart, it does. And guess what? Everywhere I go, people will ask me, oh, that's so pretty. Where did you get that from? Hey, because at that point, I'm no longer hiding who I am. And then I
Sure.
realized that people actually appreciate it. So doing things like that, as minimum, as small as they were, they meant something to me. And then I was no longer afraid to need to explain people why.
Yeah.
So everybody in my house has one.
So la mochila is probably mom, dad, abuela, everybody.
Yeah.
Um, you're carrying them with you, and carrying that advice that they bring with you.
Yeah, and it's representing who I am in a very subtle, very quiet, no offensive way. I'm having a white flag saying I'm here, I'm part of this community, but I'm not willing to compromise who I am, but I'm willing to grow where I need to grow to be functional in this society. I'm willing to learn enough to understand my rights and my obligations. But I'm also not willing, if I'm able to understand who I am, I'm going to protect that.
Mhm.
Guess what? My kids, none of them was born in Colombia. One was born in Canada and the other one was born in the US. They know the songs that I know. They perform with me since they were 3 and 6. And every time I go to Colombia, that I have the privilege to go back home, I take them where my mom grew up. I take them the high school that I went to because I want them to see how lucky they are and yet how proud they should be. And
Mhm.
so it's establishing I am who I am, and being who I am is a beautiful thing, whether I do it through painting, through performing. But if I'm beautiful, you who are next to me, you are even more beautiful.
Wow, Yolima, thank you so much. This has been a great interview. Thank you for letting us come into your heart, into your house, to your home, and sharing who Yolima is with our audience today.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It means a lot to me.
Oh, I'm glad. Besito para ti también.
Igualmente.
Thank you for joining me today. We'll see you next Tuesday, December 1st, for our next interview here on compARTE Happy Hour. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Yholima Vargas. Don't forget to sign up for the Immigration 101 Latino artists. It'll be coming around in January. So make sure you sign up through our Facebook page, Diamante Arts and Cultural Center. Así que nos vemos para la próxima. Adiós. La 25ª entrega de los premios Latino Diamante el 21 de noviembre por la página de Facebook y YouTube de Diamante Arts and Cultural Center.